young girl by the name of Meena. She was 18, and she ended up being trafficked to a Gulf state. Thought she was going there for a domestic job. She soon found out that that wasn't the case, and she was sold. And over the next several weeks, as she would describe it, she was sold again and again and again. And she said that not only was she sold like an animal, but she was treated much worse. And she's one of the lucky ones, because she escaped. She jumped out of a second-story window, hurt her hip. As Providence would have it, she ran into a Nepali man on the street, told him her story. He took her home to his wife, and the two of them arranged to return her to Nepal. When she came to Nepal, she was turned over to our border monitoring station staff, and they treated her physically, worked through some psychological issues that she had as a result, and also the spiritual side of her life. And she became a Christian and then became a border monitoring staff employee. I came to Nepal just a couple weeks after her return, and I asked if I would be able to record her story. And we didn't think she would give us permission, because once you're trafficked, you're considered an outcast, and you don't want your name to be out there. But she consented, and the reason she did is because she said, if my story will keep even one more girl from ever having to endure what I endured, this will be worth it. So she came to Kathmandu to our office with her father, and they sat on the couch in our office, her father, Meena in the middle, and Aksha, who was our translator, on the other side. And she began to tell her story. And she was calm, and she was coherent. But halfway through her story, she began to get more agitated and more emotional, to the point where eventually she just broke down and wept. And Aksha kind of signaled to me to stop the video, because she couldn't go on either. So Aksha was crying as well. And after they composed themselves, we completed the interview, and I went up to Aksha afterward, and I said, Aksha, what was it that was so difficult for you to translate? And she said, Doug, the things that she was telling me, I couldn't even put into words, because they were so horrific. And it was in mixed company, and she said it was just so uncomfortable to even talk about. That impacted me so much, but what impacted me more as a father was this. As I was videoing that interview, out of the corner of my eye, I watched her father on the couch. And I didn't know until after the interview, that was the first time he had heard the full story of what had happened to his daughter. And in that interview, there were times when he would put his hands over his ears. And just look away, because what he was hearing, no father wants to hear. And I remember thinking after that interview, but for the grace of God, that could have been me. I have 4 daughters. That could have been one of my daughters and me sitting on that couch if it wasn't for the grace of God. And I realized at that point that that's why we do what we do. Because Meena and her father aren't just 2 people that are half a world away. Meena and her father was me. Meena was my daughter. And once I came to terms with the value of every girl as God sees them, was the time when I realized this is the work that we're called to do, and we're called to do effectively and impactfully. And that's the story of Meena. We don't want one more girl to ever have to endure what Meena endured.